Hi everyone, I'm Lucy and this is my channel Geek Petite. This is where I talk to you and I take you on my dressmaking journey and talk to you about other sewing things and sometimes other little things, crafty things that I'm making. So thank you for joining me today for a Friday Sews, and I'm going to talk to you about my favourite sewing tools. But yes, I just want to say thank you to all my viewers, my existing subscribers, and if this is the kind of channel you'd be interested in and you haven't already subscribed, then please consider doing so. You can just click on the little button on, I'm pointing here because I think that will show you the bottom right of your screen. Yeah, it would be great to reach more people, so that would be amazing if you haven't already. Okay, so what I'm wearing today is a toaster sweater. This is version 2, I think. So it has the facing that you just sort of turn it in on itself. So it's part of the front and back. It's not a separate piece. And then you kind of secure it on the shoulders. So yeah, so if I just can stand up and show you the front is slightly shorter than the back, and then it's got this lovely side vent, which is really easy to sew, and it's just so nice and cozy. The only thing I want to do, and I actually found the sort of leftover fabric that I had, and what I want to do is make some cuffs, because I always shorten sleeves, and I think I took off too much for this, so as you can see, it's just too short. So when I've got my arms down, it's just on my wrist, but I would like them to be longer so I can, just more cozy and be able to pull them down when I'm outside and my hands are cold. So yeah, that should be pretty straightforward. So yeah, I've got a bunch of sewing tools next to me to show you. They're just my personal favourites. I know there are other videos about this, but I think it's just, I think you can take something from each of them because they're all a little bit different. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is this Prym magnetic bracelet. So you basically just snap it onto your wrist like those snap bands you get, and then you've got this lovely magnetic area here where you can just pop your pins as you're sewing. So it's great if you're needing to remove lots of pins as you're going along, and you've just got you just sew super quick, pop them onto your wrist. And what I also do sometimes is if I don't want it on my wrist or what have you, I'll just open it out and I'll just have it lying on the sewing table next to me, and I'll just pop them on and use it, just use it that way. So yeah, that's absolutely great. I got this particular one from First for Fabrics because they have a whole selection of Prym stuff, but you can, it's readily available, obviously. I am going to list the actual tools in the description box, but I won't be putting links in because you can just Google these, and then it's your preference as to where you actually get them from if you're interested in doing that. So that is I think it's called a magnetic bracelet, or possibly something else, but I'm sure if you Googled something like that it would pop up. Okay, now the next thing is also a Prym. See the pink series. This is a point turner, so I use this a lot I used it in making my shirts, my Rosa shirts and the shirt dress. It's got this rounded bit here for shapes that you've got like that you want to gently push out, and this bit I use to get the nice points in the collars. And I also use this all the time when I'm making cushions because it's great for getting the corners sharp. Yeah, it's just a really handy little tool and very pretty with the sort of little white spots on the pink. So yes, use that a lot and love it. The next things I've got a few, I use lots of different marking tools. I don't know about you, but I just find that different ones work best with different projects and different fabrics. So I've got 3 different types to show you, even though I've got more than that. But yeah, so this one is called a Koh-i-noor chalk pen, and basically you just press this end and it kind of opens up, and the chalk is difficult to show. The chalk is here and just comes out. It's like a little stick, and you get different colors for it. I think I just got this from Amazon, and I initially saw it on a video that Rochelle from Sewing Bunny was using it on one of her videos. So what happens is you can get like different coloured chalks, and that's one of the things I really like about it, because obviously different colours show up better on different things. So yeah, I've got a little pot here with, I've got some purple, green, blue and white and yellow, and the one in the actual pen is red, so you get a really good selection of different chalks. So yes, I really like that one for marking. And then another, I can't live without these when I'm sewing, friction markers. So what these do is they actually, you can remove them with heat. So this one is like kind of like a biro, so it'll just make a little black mark. So I use this for all sorts of things, and yeah, you just literally, you go, even going close to it with an iron can rub it off, but of course that's where you do need to be careful, because you need to make sure that you're not going to go and iron off the marks that you need to keep on your garment, so that you know what you're doing there. So, but it's just really handy for when you need to make a mark, but then you want to get rid of it easily and quickly. So this one it works in exactly the same way, but it's more like a highlighter, so it's a little bit thicker, and it's got that kind of luminous yellow that you get with a highlighter that you just use for you know, when you're using a pen. So they are absolutely brilliant, and I use them all the time. You can get them all over. You can actually get them in a pack at B&M Bargains, which you know, it's massive difference in price from buying them elsewhere. So that's really good. The third marking tool I've got to show you is this little purple one. Now this is a Clover air erasable marker. So it's got 2 sides to it. It's got the side here that you use to actually make the mark, and then it's got this brilliant eraser here. So again, it's similar to the use of the friction marker, I guess, but I'll use this a lot, you know, maybe to mark my interfacing, so to draw around a pattern piece for interfacing, because it shows up really well. Yeah, and it's just great if you need to make a little mark, but then you want to get rid of it, you know, quickly. It will just disappear over time, but sometimes you want to get something off, you know, straight away, don't you? And obviously it's a good idea to test this out on a scrap first. But basically what you do is make your mark with this side, and then you just use this side, which is just white, and you just dab onto the mark, and this takes it away, or should take it away, which is why it's always a good idea to do a little test first. So yeah, love that one as well. And yes, I've got my my tracing wheels, so I absolutely love these. You've got one of them is got a smooth edge, and one of them has got this if you can see this perforated perforated edge. And I use these for tracing patterns. Actually, I'll pop a link up to the video I did about pattern tracing, because then you can see in more detail how I use these. But just to give you an example, this one is great for pattern marking, where you don't even need to use a pen or anything, because what it will do is, if you have your tracing paper down and then your pattern piece on top, if you just push down and you make sure you've obviously got a cutting mat underneath everything, if you just push down really hard on the pattern lines, this will make a perforation in your pattern, in your tracing paper. And what it means is that when you then remove the actual pattern piece, you can see the perforations, and they're so clear, you can just cut through the perforations to get your pattern piece. So there's no drawing or marking required if you use it for that purpose. So they're both really, really handy. Next, I have got my trusty seam gauge, and I'd be surprised if anyone who sews doesn't already have one, but if you don't, they are just amazing. I mean, I can't go far without this. I'm constantly looking for it. In fact, I'm considering getting another one, because I constantly lose it, or I've left it on the ironing board or something when I'm in the middle of sewing. But I use it to check seam allowances at my sewing machine. So for instance, my needle on my sewing machine can move, I think it's got about 6 or 7 different positions. So sometimes I need it just to check that my seam allowance is right, because my needle's moved, and it's not always clear from the plate. So I use it for that. I use it for hemming all the time. You just move this little slider to the measurement that you need, and then you can just hold that against your fabric, just to make sure you're getting the measurement the same all the way around. It does have a button spacer, it says on it, but I've never used that. It's this. It must be something to do with this bit here. I've never used that. So if anyone's used that before and knows of a tutorial, or can just quickly explain how that works, please do pop it in the comments, because I'd be interested to know about that. And it's also got collar pointer written on it, so I'm assuming you would probably just use this bit to do the pointing out of your collar. I mean, personally I would rather use this, because it's plastic, and with this being metal, it's more likely to poke through, I think. But yeah, so it's got a few different uses, but cannot live without that seam gauge. So that is that one. Next up, I've got these cute little elastic, what would I call them? Elastic threaders, I guess. So I'm sure there's a third size, but I've obviously put it in a different sewing box or whatever. But basically, what you do is I'll just take one to show you. So they've got the measurement on them. So you thread the elastic through one of these slots, and then you kind of turn it back on itself, just so that it's secured. And then you pop that, starting there like you would if it was a safety pin or whatever, you pop that through your casing, feed it through your casing, and it's just a more simple way of doing it and making sure you don't lose it. It just keeps it nice and flat as well. So yes, I've used those many times, and obviously the last one I used I've put away somewhere that I can't remember, but they are really handy. Now this is my buttonhole cutter. So it's a Clover one, and I got this using a System in Tacker voucher. I won a System in Tacker voucher on Instagram. So I got some labels, and I also got this. and used it on my shirts, obviously. It was just so easy to use, and it just gives you a lovely clean cut. This one is 12 millimeters, but I think you can get different sizes. And obviously, as long as your buttonhole isn't smaller than that, then you could use this, because you could just, you know, do sort of multiple cuts. I would, if I had a long one, I would start at one end and then do the other end and meet in the middle. But it just gives you a super clean cut once you've, you know, saves you all those fraying threads when you do it with the seam ripper. So yeah, so I really love that. Got two more things to show you. So this is called a stitch lift. Now it's difficult to see because it's white, but basically I actually got this with my Bernina machine, and it's got three pieces, because basically you can have it in different layers. So what this does is it lifts your presser foot when you've got a thicker piece of fabric, and your foot is starting like that, and then it has to come over the fabric. And what you want it to do is be flat. So what the stitch lift does is it lifts the back for you. You tuck it underneath the back of your foot, and so you might only need it, you know, lifted a little bit, in which case you would use one of these, and then you've got the choice of the 2 or the 3 layers. And I've used this a lot making my masks, because when I've pleated them, when I put the pleats in and it's jersey fabric, it makes it quite thick. So I think I used two of these, and pop that under the back of the presser foot, and it makes it nice and even and flat to go over, much easier. And you can actually, I mean, you know, like I say, this came with my machine. You can buy them separately. You can probably, you know, there's probably different versions. They won't all look like this, but you can actually just make one yourself by, you know, just taking a piece of the fabric you're using or something else and layering it. So you just keep folding it until you have the same thickness as the piece you're working on, and then you just pop that behind your presser foot, and it works in the same way. But obviously I use this because I've got it. The last thing I want to show you is my little snips. Now I've had various, these are mine, I've had various little snips. Obviously if you've made any garment, you will know how these are an absolute must, because you use them all the time to snip your threads. These particular ones are, I think they're Japanese, and they're called Kai, K-A-I, and I got these from Amazon, and they are just brilliant. They're the best ones I've ever had. They're just so sharp, and they're fantastic for you know, snipping in little small bits like notches, because you can just use the very end, which is what you need, don't you? Because you don't want to cut anything too far in. So yeah, they are absolutely brilliant little snips, and I think if I ever needed any other scissors, I would probably choose that brand for those as well, but I don't need any at the moment. So yeah, that is it. That's all of the tools I've brought out. So yeah, I hope that was, you know, interesting for you, and maybe you saw something, you know, that you haven't used before or haven't thought of getting. Yeah, and they're all very readily available. Just Google whichever one you'd be interested in, and I'm sure you will find you know, a whole selection to choose from, and different prices and everything. So yes, really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up, because it will help me reach other people, because YouTube will show it to more viewers. And I will be back really soon with another video, guys. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.